Hi, this is Fred with Quality One Engravers. I'm going to show you in EngraveLab how to set up your network connection if you're running to the Q3D controller and you want to use the Ethernet. There's two ways that you can run your Ethernet connection. One is if you're hooked up to your router or your hub, and the other way is where you're going to hook your computer directly to the engraver, to the engraver controller. First thing you want to do is go to Engraving Defaults, and we're going to set up, I'm going to click on Setup. I'm going to start with my standard Q3XZU driver, and I'm going to create a custom copy of it. So, and I'm going to call it, I usually like putting the Ethernet of the engraver, the last three numbers. So in this case, let's say it's 192.168.1, and if it's 168, I'll put 168. And this just tells me that it's an Ethernet cable, so when I look at it, I know where it's going to. Obviously, if you've got several machines, you may want to put a name on here. Maybe it's B7000. So here's your Ethernet number, and then it's going to a V7000, and you say OK. And then you have to scroll down to that one, which here it is. Then I'm going to click on port, and I'm going to change it from a communications port, and I'm going to go down here to TCP IP raw. And then and now remember, this is if you're hooking it up to a hub. I'm going to type in 192.168. I like putting in 001, and then the next number would be 168. Okay, so here's the address that you're going to be sending it to. TCP direct to port, TCP IP raw, and 192.168.001, 168.96.9100, and that's going to, and then of course click on apply, and then say OK. So this is the IP address that you're sending it to. Say OK, apply, and close. Now, if you're hooking it up to, if you type something in, of course, and you go to send this, you'll go to engrave, output, and let me back up here, close out of that, or cancel. Okay. I've got this as a real large plate. Let me make this a much smaller plate size. Control Alt P is my plate size. I had it as 100 by 100. Make it 24 by 24. Say OK, and shrink this down so it fits in my plate. And of course go output. And this is also too small, but anyways, let me go make the plate size even smaller, 12 by 12, and now engrave, output, and here you have your different devices that you have available to you. Now I have several of them here, but if I wanted to send to this V7000, I know that it's on the IP address 168. If I want to send to any of these other ones that I've got, 164, 165, you can see I can pick any one that I want, or if I want to go back to the original that was on the COM port. So, and then once you click on here, of course I don't have a machine hooked up, so it will give me an error. So this part of it's the same no matter what, whether you're running it direct or you're running it to a hub. The software has to send to the exact IP address. So the other thing that you want to do, let me just go back to EngraveLab. You can do it right from here. You can go under File, you can go to Control Panel, and then you look for the two computers. Network Connection, double click here. Local Area Network, click once, and then right mouse click and go to Properties. And then you scroll down right here and you'll see TCP/IP. Click on Properties. Now, in most cases, you're going to have obtain IP address automatically. But for this if you're hooking it up direct, the two pieces talking to each other over an IP address have to be discrete. So you're going to assign an IP address to it. So this IP address has to be 192.168.0.0.1, and then it can be any number between 1 and 255, but it cannot be the same as 168. So I'm going to just make it 160. Click on the tab key and it will type in the subnet mask for you. That's typically all that you have to type in. If you want to put in a default gateway, that's oftentimes 192.168.0.0.1. Oops. 0.0.1, 0.0.1. Let me retype that. 192.168.0.0.1, 0.0.1. It's typically not necessary, but then you're going to hit on OK, and which I'm not going to do in this case, but now it will communicate with. Now, one of the other things that you may have to do, anytime you start changing your Ethernet properties, it's not a bad idea to restart your computer. So you're going to click on OK, and then close, and then restart, and it should be good to go. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to change it back. To change it back, it's just click here, and say OK, and close. Hope that helps.